Hey, everybody. And so, Facebook, do not turn me off. I do have the right to use this actual music and share it. So, yeah, this is actually pretty music that I have on arts too. So, um, yeah, so come in. I'm going to give Facebook a second to do what it's doing. And, you know, to my news feed and put join me live. Just wanted to just because I'm not sure all the time if I'm going live all the time. I was like, hey, I guess I'll start them out with a little bit of music now, and then I always miss the chats. So hey, come on in, you guys, to do that. And then hey, welcome. Hey. Happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there. Happy Veterans Day. We are so thankful for your service and your commitment to the country. And cheers to your wellness. My name is Sequoia Ashe Taylor. I'm the CEO and founder of Ashe Wellness. What I do is that I help stressed out women who are attempting to find balance to establish and maintain healing habits so that they can be healthy and happy. How do we do that? Is that we distress the mess through testing and not guessing. And I'm coming to you live because we're on this whole campaign this month of doing 30 lives in 30 days. And we are calling it Nurturing November. So if you're watching this live, you definitely want to say hey. Say hey. And then if you're watching the replay, put hashtag replay, and then if this information resonates with you, then you definitely want to share, especially with your other veterans, because I want them to get a special shout out to say Happy Veterans Day. And so definitely want to come and do that. And so you're coming to hear about these different topics. And don't forget that if you're the reason why you don't just want to do this on the phone or just watch it and never click on it is because throughout this month, myself and several of my other practitioner friends are going to be going through the different lives and picking out different people who are been acting, and you guys are going to win different prizes, different products, different, it could be a service. So from different people, so not just my practice, it's other people and products as well. So you definitely want to be engaged. You definitely want to say hey. And as a fellow vet, I am a veteran as well. I was in the Army Reserves, and so I'm going to talk about that today as to what happened, the whole crew thing, and everything. So I am wanting to just give you guys a couple seconds to say hey, to come on and chime in, give your perspectives. If you give your feedback, if you agree, if you don't agree, like that's all welcome. You can chat about it, but we definitely want to come and talk to you guys. And so today is like the military and wellness, and this is about stories or like sharing information about what I learned about my wellness through being in the military, right? And so there's several different things that I learned about wellness that I had no idea at that time, right? As you go back and say hindsight is 2020, and you guys, sorry, my glasses are like completely messed up, but hindsight is 2020. I had no idea, 2020 pun intended. I had no idea at the time that I was learning these things. But when like the prompt comes up, or you look at it, or some questions come up, you're like, I kind of learned that back then, or if I would have understood that then, or I had no idea I was learning those different types of things at that time, right? And so I'm coming to share with you guys a couple things that I learned about my wellness through being in the military, even though I didn't know it at the time. So if you are a vet, make sure you put vet here, put what service, branch of service you are in, and we are definitely want to say Happy Veterans Day. Thank you so much again for your service. And so one of the things that I learned about my wellness while I was in the military was to work hard for what you want. So let me get a preface for this. All up until like probably up until I was like 14 or 15, I was like heavier, like how you guys see autumn is like stockier now. I went through that process, and then I started just going through this phase where I was like skinnier and smaller, and so all those type of things. And so I did want to go to, like when I was in high school, I did want to go to college and stuff like that, but just having the finances to be able to do so, and financial aid, and having to put that process on family, and then a lot of people in my family, especially on my dad's side, went into the military. So it's kind of like commonplace. You graduate, you go to the military. And so I knew I didn't want to do the whole like active duty thing. So I was the recruiters were coming to the school and everything else. And so I went and did the Army Reserves. And so I graduated in 2002, you guys. I feel like an old person, but it's some people that may not say that. So I graduated 2002 in June, Mayish. And then I left in August, right? And so they had a delayed entry program. We went in and everything else. And so up until that point, learning that you have to work hard for something is something that we've all learned. Like I learned that through school. It was like, yeah, some classes were easier, others, some things were studying. But on a physical level, as far as like wellness, I had learned that I had to work hard to get what I need to do, because if you know, you had to do a mile in a certain length of time, right? You had to be able to do so many sit-ups, you had to be able to do so many push-ups, and you had to be able to do them in a certain length of time. And so there were different trainings and different programs that I had to do. It was certain things as far as my food that I couldn't eat, right? Because it was like, okay, yeah, I was younger and it was beneficial. Like my body, that metabolism, that snapback was on fleek back then. Like retro me back to that time, right? So I was able to, learn that concept that if you, especially like working out and like the physical stuff and running and push-ups and doing sit-ups, that you had to work hard for something that you really wanted, and that if you didn't do it, like if you didn't make the times and stuff like that, of course there was consequences for it or whatever. You could, eventually, like for some people, they even get kicked out because they're not making they're not meeting weight, they're not meeting like your mile run time and your push-ups and your sit-ups and all these other physical activities that you had to do. And so that was one of the first things that I learned, is that I had to actually work for something to get it. It wasn't just going to be like, oh, I could just get out there and just run a mile. Like, even though when I was a younger kid, I was a running fool, but the concept of like working towards something because it was the goal. The goal was to be at a certain level, and so I had to work hard to actually be able to do that. So that was one of the first indications of me as far as a wellness type of thing or a health type of thing. I had to work hard to be able to do it, to get those results that I needed, because if I did it, the result was going to be that I wasn't going to be able to ship out, as they call it, right? And so the next thing was, the second thing was to be careful what you put in your body. And yes, I'm not only talking about food, I'm not only talking about like, medicines and stuff like that, or what you're taking, but also be careful about what you put in your body. So one thing I quickly learned once I actually got to the point of like processing and getting shipped out and actually going out, I went to Fort Jackson in South Carolina. Like it was really cool. I never really seen a lot of the part of the town, because when you on base and basic training, you get locked in. You ain't going nowhere, right? So for them 9 weeks, I was locked in on that base. The only thing I seen was that base, and I barely got to go to like the PX and commissary and all that, right? So yeah, you on lockdown, you're not really doing a whole bunch of stuff. It's not though, like don't ask me nothing about the town that was around it. Don't ask me nothing like, did I tour the town? I don't know. I don't know nothing about it because we was in lockdown. And so it actually got to the point where I was actually doing an exercise once we had got the basic training, because we got there, then we ended up getting delayed and all this kind of good jazz. And so it started kind of getting closer to the fall. I actually graduated on Halloween, if I'm not mistaken. And so it was kind of cool there. Like it got, they get real fall in the Carolinas, right? And so I actually, so with me doing that, we were actually doing an exercise one time, and the exercise was that we were on a slant, and then they would drop bomb sounds or gunshots, and you would have to jump up from the platform, jump across this like pit looking thing that was like dirt that was in a hole, and you had to jump across to try to make it to the other side. So when we heard the boom and the rattle of the actual shots, I tried to jump up, and yeah, keyword was try. When I jumped up, my whole knee was like pop, pop, crack it, crack it, crack it, crack it. So I immediately like jumped up, popped up, like the top part of my body like popped up. But then when I felt that pain, I just fell right back down, right? And just started like screaming and hollering all this kind of stuff and all this, because I was like, that bleep hurt. And so the process of that, yes, I still have a knee injury to this day, and that's how I like know about the cold and all that. Like to this day, I'm still affected by this injury, and that actually is why I'm getting out even the reserves faster than what I did, because that continued to kind of go on. But what happened with the actual injury is that at first, okay, they try to pacify you and they kind of do those different things, right? And so you're like, okay, just put ice on it. You just using it to get out of the thing. Like they try to make sure that you reading out as serious. Then when they did the actual x-rays and they kept doing x-rays, they're like, you don't have any broken bones and that wrong. I'm like, no, this is actually hurting me. So then I had got to the point I was going to sick call like every morning, because I was like, I can't even move my knee. Like it started swelling up. They would put a wrap on it, all this kind of stuff. I'm like, I can't even run. I can't do PT. I can't do any of this stuff. And so I ended up having to go through that process of doing it, and so got through basic. Actually, was able to get to the point where it was like able to calm down and soothe it and all that kind of stuff enough for me to be able to pass basic. I get to my AIT, which is in Virginia. So remember, I told you this is like November at this point, and so going into December, and it's like snowing. It's going to get ready to snow. It's snowing, and it's super cold. So you know what happened to my knee? It inflamed. It like got really bad, and so they started to give me cortisone injections. And so at this point, I'm 18, about to be like I'm 18, going to my like the latter part of my 18th year, and I'm getting cortisone shots and all this kind of stuff in my knee, and so I had no idea about it. I was like, hey, it really hurts like bleep, 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 bleep for them to do the shot. But then after then, I was like Superman. I was able to go out and run, jump, hop. It felt great for me to be able to do that. But then when I was telling my mom and stuff what was going on, I was like, was something about that doesn't sound right. And at that time, my pastor's wife was Korean, and she advised my mom for me to stop doing that. Right? She advised my mom for me to stop doing the cortisone shots because what happens is when you take those steroids and at the cortisone shots, it actually eats away at the cartilage in your like that. In my case, it would be my knee. Eat away the cartilage, and it would have caused for me to have bone on bone sooner, and then eventually I would have had to have a knee surgery, right? So yes, it may have felt like Superman. It felt like that. It felt great. That I would have eventually kept taking those, and it would have ended up being bone on bone. Like it would have been eating the cartilage of my knee. And so luckily, like having advocates and stuff about that about people advocating to me and knowing what she advised for me to start taking in. They actually shipped me some was CoQ10. They was like, hey, you need to start taking CoQ10. You need to stop taking that steroid stuff. Like, stop taking it. You know, deal with pain. Like, you need to stop taking it because those shots will later cause you have, and you're too young to have these issues. And so I actually really do believe that saved me from having to have like a knee surgery or like having further injury later on because they intervened. So like knowing, it taught me a lot about knowing what I put in my body. Be careful about what you put in your body, and that there's like the medical way is not always the only way, right? That was kind of like a bonus, a part B to that. Not, the medical way is not always the only way. There are actually other natural ways to do things, or there are natural like remedies or natural supplements to take that can actually help you in similar ways as some of the medicine that they just want to quickly give you because they want you to get in and get out, 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 right? And so there was an alternative for me to do it, and luckily I had somebody in my corner that was telling my mom and all that kind of stuff that knew about these type of things that actually advised me not to continue to do that. And so yes, you have to be careful about what you put in your body and on your body, but be careful about what you're putting in your body and as far as that goes, right? Also, another thing that they taught me is about putting as far as like be careful about what you're putting in your body is like while like right now people are like, hey, get the flu shot, hey, when the coronavirus vaccine come out, are you getting it? And I'm like, hecky no, I will not be getting no vaccines. I fought when I was pregnant not to have to get a vaccine flu shot when I was like pregnant because I learned quickly too that when you're in the military, you belong to the military. And so I'm like, before we even left the MEPS, like this is the processing station, we had to have all these shots. All of our shot records were turned in, all of these things. And so when you get there and you process it in, they make sure you have all your shots and everything in. And then I started to notice that like every week we were getting lined up and they were going like down the line. Pew, 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 shoot, what's with something. Next week we'll come in. What is this? Oh, this is something. Mew, 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 mew. They're going out of line shooting us with something else, right? And when I'm saying shooting us with something else, I mean like using a needle and they're giving us something like a vaccine for something. We don't know what this was, right? And so, I mean, you would do this and you would see this all the time. Like it was like all the time. And then one time when we went in, because I suffer from anemia and I always have ever since I started my cycle, that was in my records. And so when we went to go do and what gave me the aha, it was like, it's something about this right here. I'm gonna start like saying no. So we went one time to go to do the line of the pew 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 getting stuff, right? And I'm like, okay. So they're like, hey, they start calling people names. And then it was like Lindsay. I'm like, oh bleep, what the heck I did? So I go over to the side, and then the sergeant that was there, she's like, you can't get this shot, shot or whatever because you're anemic, you have low iron. And I'm like, what? She was like, yeah, based off of your files and your records, you can't get the shot that they're giving because you have low iron. You're not allowed to take it. So she was like, all these people over here have had stuff in their file. That's why we called your name out because you guys have to be excluded from getting this. From getting that shot because you have low iron. I'm like, so what the bleep was y'all giving us? this whole time. So even at a younger age, it taught me about being mindful about stuff that's been put into your body. So who knows what they were giving us? Who knows what the stuff that has been put in? Like, if you've been in the military, who, you know what I mean? Like, who knows what the stuff that really be tested? We probably the first testers of everything, right? And so I was like, wow, like it made me like aha. So every time we stopped going in, I was like, I'm excluded. I can't be doing that. I'm excluded myself. I can't. I stopped trying to use that excuse as best as I could because it let me know that it's like y'all know these things, and there are certain things that whatever you giving us, it is, you can't like have it with certain stuff, right? So every time y'all giving us stuff, and I'm like, it's not the flu shot, it's not tetanus, it's not TB, it's not those polio, it's not those traditional ones, because A, we've either had them or they made sure they had them within you when you process in, right? So it wasn't like, oh, maybe you got it, maybe, maybe this, maybe that. No, because there was a process. You had to make sure you had all your stuff up to date and current. Because they do it from AIDS to Zulu. Like, make sure you're not pregnant if you're a female. Make sure you're not this and this. You like I said, AIDS to Zulu. Test everything. So they knew if you had the vaccine enough availability, so you got it before you left. So what were you giving us when we was going down the line before that? So yeah, whole nother thing, right? And so that was another phase about me learning about what to not to what to and what not to put inside of your body, and that even included like vaccines and having a fight to be like, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And I'm like, the flu shot, they was like, oh, you can get it without preservatives and all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay, I worked in the healthcare field, I worked in labor delivery, so for the safety of myself and parents, if for the families, I would do it up to a certain period. But when I was like pregnant with Arya, they started making this stuff mandatory, and they were like, "Oh, you're in jeopardy of your job if you don't get it." And so the first year they let us do it because of like religious exemption. The second year they was like, it's mandatory. They don't care what your religion is or anything. And I'm like, I'll just wear a mask. I'm at the latter part of my pregnancy. Like, this is this time of year. I'm only coming in here 2 to 3 days at this point. I had her in January, so it was like, it's not that long. Like, I could have been wearing a mask. That's why wearing a mask me now don't bother me, because we wore it all day. Like, when we went to OR, that's what you're wearing. And so it was like those type of things. Like, they taught me back then to be mindful about what is being put into your body and why things are being put into your body, right? And so the third thing was to have a team approach to care. Like, one thing about it, and two things for sure. I know, like in a civilian world, your doctor will refer you and do those type of things. But in the military, to me, it was magnified. They have a team based approach. It may take you 50 years to get an appointment, but if that's not them, or they can go send you somewhere else, they're gonna send you somewhere else. Hey, you need to go do a site consult. You need to go to go get to see ortho. You need to go do this. You need to go do this. They gonna send you to the other people, because I think it's because they don't want to be dealing with it or whatever. But the team like approach to be able to say that there's more than one person to be seen in your care, right? So even inside of that whole concept of me hurting my knee, I saw several different types of people, right? I had to go see ortho. I had the primary person. I had the person like, it was when you went into the sick call, the emergency person, the immediate person. Then it was like, hey, you still need to go speak to psych. I'm like, okay, we got to talk to psychiatrist for, like, it was my knee, but okay. But they have that system based approach where they quickly refer refer to other things and other people, right? And so I quickly learned the aspect of having that team approach to care. Before I even got into healthcare, I learned that there's a system and a team based approach, and that's why I even believe in it to this day. Like, those different types of modalities, the different types of even include your conventional medicine, and let's include your primaries, let's include your specialists out there. So it allowed me to like understand back then that it's more than one way to skin that cat, and there's other people and other players that have to be included in care. It's just not on one and done. And so those are the three things. And then the bonus was that it taught me back then that I did not know was to find my Ashe. Find my Ashe. I said it all the time as a bonus, right? So it taught me back then to find my Ashe because of the things that I just mentioned in the first three things, right? That I have the power to change and make things happen. I have the power to be look, have informed consent. What are you doing? Why are we doing this? What is this gonna do? What are the side effects? What are the benefits? Are there any alternatives, right? Who else do we need to talk to? It taught me then to say that, hey, I have the power to change my wellness. I can be in control of things even if I don't know everything about it, right? And so I have a say in what my care is. I have a say in how I'm taking care of it. I have a say is to say, hey, no, we're not gonna do that immediately. We're gonna put a pause, right? And so that's actually what ended up happening when it was time for me like to get out, because when I came back to my reserve unit after I got done with like AIT and everything, graduating was finished, they were like, I had to still keep seeing the doctor. So you got your file, you bring this thick old file, and you go into the my local base here, which wasn't an army base, it's actually Navy bases here. And so you still had to go and do those type of things and go to the doctor, and they're like, hey, we really think you should be having a knee surgery. We need to go in and do a scope. We need to figure out this, because then it took all that time for me to actually get back here to actually get an MRI, even though I had kept asking them, begging them, right? And so I had by the time I did, I had a small tear behind my kneecap, right? So I think it was meniscus or something like a small tear. And so they wanted to go in and do a scope and all this kind of stuff to see how severe it was. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I know about other alternatives, and then they want to keep start by giving me those steroid shots, and I'm like, no. And so they was like, listen, you're not gonna be able to perform and do all this, so if you like, you have options. We could do this, or you could go ahead and decide to end your to get out, and you get out honorable and all this kind of stuff. I was like, tuck them deuces, I'm not gonna do I'm not gonna do that, right? And so it was that was the decision that was kind of like, okay, yes, I want it for these reasons, but I'm not going to keep on like being under the knife. And like I said, now knowing what I know now, I'm glad I made those decisions, because um, I feel like I would have been like continue still having it. Like even when I gained weight and got bigger, I could tell if I'm picking up or gaining, losing weight, because like the history, like we know like that holds. Even though I never had surgery or anything, it holds the energy, it holds the scar, I guess, behind. Like some people who have got amputated knee or a leg or arm, they're like, hey, I still feel, I'm itching there, I still feel my hand and my foot. I'm like, it's not there. But just the energy of it that you had to something, there's still those meridians, those drivers are still there. And so yes, like now I have less of that problem, because I'm like the smallest I've probably been since I was 18. Probably I'm the closest that, as far as weight, as I was when I was like going into the military. So it's not nowhere near as bad. I'll have sometimes, if anything, it's more my hip or anything, and it's the other hip, because for years they said I've compensated. But as far as like going and having surgeries and letting the military do your surgery, yeah, it's kind of like I avoided that. I think it was, to me, I feel like it was a benefit, just because some of the stories, or just some of the like the scar tissue and the healing, and do you fully ever heal from that? Um, to me, it was a a beneficial situation. Plus, at that time, we was getting heated into the 9/11 stuff, and it was shipping people everywhere. So yeah, it worked out in my favor. Thank you, Lord. And so those are some of the things that I learned when I like, so the title is military and wellness, but some of the things that I learned about wellness in the military that I didn't even know then that I was learning. And so there was definitely a reflection back on some stories and some of my battle buddies and stuff like that. Today it's always that time for me to reach out and say, hey, a couple of them I am still connected to, a couple of my friends who are actually, like, I went to high school with, one into the military. And so just being able to reflect on those times and say, hey, like, we've lost some people. We've actually, I have had several friends close to me that was actually, killed and have died in battle and stuff like that. So it's a time to be reflective. It's a time to be, reflective and be grateful and thankful for the people who are actually serving this country, even when this country doesn't serve them. So just want to come and talk to you guys about that. And so also for that, for people who are asking, like, during this time, like I said, as a vet, I am someone who understands that right now, especially your wellness and stuff like that is in concern. And so we do have a promo today. I will make sure we post them up and down in there. And then the link to actually get the promo is bit.ly/wellness scan 1. We'll type that over in the chat. bit. I can't type it talk apparently. bit.ly/wellness scan 1 for the Veterans Day promo. And then if you want to book an appointment to do a wellness chat to see about our services, it is bit.ly/Ashe Wellness Appointment, all spelled out. So Ashe Wellness Appointment. So bit.ly Ashe Wellness Appointment to schedule your wellness chat. To schedule, again, I can't talk and type. Like, wait, what happened? But yeah, so I have been getting questions about how we can see about the different scans and the different services. When I say testing, I guess people are asking me the different ways that we could test. And so you definitely want to go to the second link, the bit.ly/Ashe Wellness Appointment. Gives you the ability to be able to do the actual schedule your wellness chat with us so that we can see if it's a good fit for you and I to work together, and to see what services or what distress and how we need to distress your mess. And we go from there. But the Veterans Day promotion is going to be good until tomorrow at midnight. That gives people the time to be able to do so. So what it is that you're going to get our basic level scan. It's usually a $69 value. You're getting it for $49, and so you cannot beat that, because doing that scan, you're going to be able to gain clarity about some of the things that you have about your wellness. You're going to be able to get protocols in the areas of lifestyle, products, and services. Get those protocols and suggestions that are going to be able to help you for at least the next 60 to 90 days. And you're going to be able to see yourself on that level to kind of spark to see what path you need to go down to go deeper, right? To do that deeper dive. So this is a basic one that kind of gives you a snapshot, but it gives you a lot of detail in it. So don't get it twisted. Basic does not mean like minimal. It means it's a snapshot. It's more like that as the umbrella opens up, is that more of that bird's eye view, and then you look and you're scanning it, and then as you get narrow down, right? So you definitely still get a lot of information. So if you're someone who needs clarity right now about your wellness, especially if you're someone who deals with our specialty adrenal fatigue, adrenal health, which is like the adrenal fatigue, insufficiency. So if you're having things like hormone imbalances, you're having anxiety, you're having brain fog, you're having low libido, sleep disturbances, you have a weak stress response, you're craving sweet and salty cravings, you're lightheaded or having headaches, migraines, definitely contact us. And so we have something coming real soon that's in the works. I'm just waiting on like some approval, because if some of you don't know, we do have a service side and we do have a product side that's going to be launching. That is going to be assist. Get the word out, Sequoia. Assist people on another level when it comes to some of those things as on like our product side. So I think you guys are gonna be very surprised about it, because it's not like an oral thing. It's not like you put it on your body, but it's something just like that's very beneficial. So it's another modality that you'll be able to use. And of course, we always have our other products like our CBD, our herbs, our essential oils. We stay with that. So yeah, we definitely have those things coming out. So definitely look out for those. But if you are someone who has those things, and like hey, I'm chronically tired. I wake up tired, and from being I can have a full night's sleep and I'm waking up tired, or I can't sleep or stay asleep. You definitely want to contact us, because all those things could be signs of that your adrenal health, which means your gut health, which means your brain health needs assistance, right? And so I wanted to come and do that quick video for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Happy Veterans Day, everybody. My name is Sequoia Ashe Taylor. I'm the CEO and founder of Ashe Wellness. And remember that I have the power to change and make things happen. And so do you. Cheers to your wellness. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.